Admiral Jai-Ho Park stood in the center of the massive Galactic Council chamber. The room was cold, as always. The aliens liked to keep it that way. Hundreds of different species watched him from their raised seats, their eyes glowing in the dim light. Some had multiple eyes, others had none at all. But Jai-Ho could feel them all studying him. This was the 50th time Earth had asked for permission to develop faster-than-light travel. It would be the 50th time they would say no. "The human petition is denied," announced the council leader, a tall creature with silver skin. "Your species is not yet ready for such technology. This is for your own protection." Jai-Ho's face remained calm, though his hands tightened behind his back. He had expected this answer. They always said humans weren't ready. They had been saying it for 300 years. "I understand," Jai-Ho said quietly. "Earth thanks the Council for its wisdom." The words tasted bitter in his mouth. Around him, the alien representatives whispered to each other. Some made sounds that might have been laughter. They thought they knew humans so well. They thought humans would always obey. As Jai-Ho walked out of the chamber, his communication device buzzed silently against his wrist. He waited until he was in his private shuttle before checking the message. It was from Dr. Yoon-hee Kim, Earth's best scientist. The message was simple: Project Phoenix is ready. Jai-Ho's heart beat faster, but his face stayed neutral. The aliens had cameras everywhere. They watched humans constantly, thinking they could control Earth forever. They didn't know about the underground labs. They didn't know about the thousands of humans who had worked in secret for decades. Looking out his shuttle window, Jai-Ho saw the massive alien ships that surrounded Earth's solar system. They called themselves protectors. Humans called them prison guards, but only in whispers. The shuttle's computer spoke. "Arrival at Earth in 6 hours. Admiral Park." Jai-Ho nodded and closed his eyes. In his pocket was a small device, something that looked like a regular datapad, but hidden inside it were the plans that would change everything. Dr. Yoon-hee's team had done what the aliens thought was impossible. They had discovered something new, something that would shake the galaxy. The aliens thought they knew everything about physics. They thought they controlled all the important technology. They were wrong. As his shuttle flew toward Earth, Jai-Ho thought about all the times he had stood before the Council, all the times they had looked down at him, all the times they had treated humans like children. His communication device buzzed again. Another message from Earth. "The others are ready, waiting for your signal." Jai-Ho smiled for the first time that day. The aliens had made 3 big mistakes. First, they thought humans would accept being controlled forever. Second, they thought they could watch everything humans did. Third, and most importantly, they thought they knew what humans were capable of. They were wrong about all 3 things. The shuttle entered Earth's atmosphere. Below, the lights of cities sparkled. Millions of humans went about their daily lives, pretending to accept alien rule. But under those cities, in secret places, humanity's future was waiting. Time to wake up the galaxy, Jai-Ho whispered to himself. Time to show them what humanity can really do. The aliens thought today was just another day. They thought this was just another denied petition. They had no idea that everything was about to change. Project Phoenix was ready to rise. Dr. Yoon-hee Kim stood in the underground laboratory, watching the small ball of light float above her desk. The light shouldn't have been possible. The aliens had said humans couldn't do this kind of science. They were wrong. "The energy readings are stable," Hejun Lee said from his computer station. Hejun was the best engineer on Earth, though the aliens didn't know that. They thought he was just a maintenance worker at a power plant. Mireille walked around the floating light, checking readings on her tablet. "No sign of radiation or any other emissions that their sensors can detect," she reported. "We're completely invisible to them." The laboratory was deep under the mountains. On paper, it didn't exist. Above them was an old mining facility that had been abandoned years ago. The aliens never came here. They thought there was nothing to see. "Show me the latest test results," Yoon-hee said. Mei touched her tablet, and a large screen lit up on the wall. Numbers and graphs appeared, showing what their quantum field device could do. It could create unlimited energy. It could change matter from one form to another. It could do things the aliens said were impossible. "We've tested it 50 times now," He-jun said. "It works perfectly every time. And the best part," he smiled, "it breaks all their rules about how physics should work." Yoon-hee nodded. The aliens thought they knew everything about science. They had given humans a fake version of physics, keeping the real science secret. But humans had found their own path. A door opened, and more scientists came in. They all wore simple clothes and carried ordinary tools. If any aliens saw them, they would look like regular workers. That was how they had stayed hidden for so long. "Admiral Park's message just came in," one of the scientists said. "The council rejected us again." "Of course they did," Mei said. "They always do. But this time," she looked at the floating light, "this time will be different." Yoon-hee walked to a large machine in the corner. It looked simple, but inside it was the most advanced computer ever built by humans. The aliens didn't know humans could build something this powerful. "Start the final check," she ordered. "Test everything again. When we move, there can be no mistakes." The team spread out across the laboratory. Some worked on computers, others adjusted equipment. They had practiced this many times. Everyone knew their job. "Message from the other labs," He-jun announced. "They're all ready. Sydney, Moscow, Cape Town, Buenos Aires, all reporting success with their devices." Yoon-hee looked at a world map on her screen. Small green dots showed where other secret labs were hidden. Hundreds of them, all over Earth. Each one had built their own quantum field device. Each one was waiting for the signal. "The aliens think they watch everything we do," Mei said quietly. "They never thought to look underground. They never thought we could hide something this big." "Humans are good at keeping secrets," Yoon-hee replied. "We've had lots of practice." She touched the floating light. It felt warm, like sunshine. This tiny ball of light was going to change everything. The aliens had tried to keep humans weak and dependent. Instead, they had forced humans to become creative and clever. "Send the confirmation to Admiral Park," Yoon-hee ordered. "Tell him Project Phoenix is ready. Tell him we can begin whenever he gives the word." As the message was sent, Yoon-hee looked at her team. They were some of the smartest people on Earth, but the aliens thought they were nothing special. That was about to change. "Soon," she said, "very soon, the galaxy will learn what humanity can really do." The floating light pulsed brightly, as if it agreed. General Taiwan Choi stood in Earth's main military command center, looking at the large screen in front of him. The screen showed thousands of small dots moving around Earth. Each dot was an alien ship. They thought they were watching Earth. They didn't know Earth was watching them back. "All stations report ready," his assistant said quietly. "Ghost protocol can begin." Taiwan nodded slowly. He had waited 20 years for this moment. The aliens had forced Earth's military to stay small and weak, or so they thought. "Send the signal to all bases," he ordered. "Tell them to launch." Deep underground, in hidden bases all around the world, ships began to power up. They looked nothing like normal spaceships. They were black as night and shaped like water drops. Each one carried Dr. Yoon-hee's quantum technology. In orbit, Su Min-yang sat in a meeting with alien representatives. She smiled and nodded as they talked about trade rules. Her job was to keep them distracted. Under her desk, her hand pressed a small button, sending a signal to the ghost ships. "Earth's development is proceeding exactly as planned," she told the aliens. "We are very grateful for your guidance." The aliens nodded, pleased. They liked when humans acted grateful. Meanwhile, in space, something incredible was happening. The ghost ships were launching, but no one could see them. They slipped past the alien patrol ships like shadows. First wave successfully deployed, reported a voice in Taiwan's earpiece. No reaction from alien sensors. Taiwan allowed himself a small smile. The aliens had given Earth fake science for centuries, but they had never imagined that humans would discover real science on their own. Second wave launching now, the voice reported. All ships operating perfectly. In space, hundreds of ghost ships moved into position. Their quantum engines made no noise and left no trace. They carried no weapons. They didn't need any. They carried something much more powerful, the truth. Admiral Jaho Park's voice came through the command center speakers. All ships in position. Begin Phase 2. Su Min was still smiling at the aliens in her meeting. Would anyone like more tea? She asked. The aliens didn't notice her hand press the button a second time. Across the solar system, the ghost ships activated their quantum fields. Each ship could now do something the aliens thought was impossible. They could change how reality worked in the space around them. Phase 2 complete, Taiwan announced quietly. All ships report successful field activation. In orbit, alien ships continued their patrols. Their sensors showed everything was normal. They didn't know that human ships now surrounded them. They didn't know that their power over Earth was about to end. Send the message to Admiral Park, Taiwan ordered. Tell him Ghost Protocol is fully operational. One of his officers spoke up. Sir, what if they detect us at the last moment? What if they try to fight? Taiwan shook his head. They won't fight, he said. They can't fight what they can't see. And by the time they do see us, he looked at the screen again. By then, it will be too late. In her meeting, Su Min checked her watch. In 1 hour, the aliens would learn that humans had outsmarted them. In 1 hour, everything would change. More tea? She asked again, smiling. The aliens had no idea that the quiet diplomat in front of them was part of humanity's greatest deception. The ghost ships waited silently in space, ready to show the galaxy that humanity had taken control of its own destiny. The collective's main energy station floated in space like a giant silver flower. It powered everything the aliens used to control Earth and other worlds. No one had ever managed to get close to it without permission. The aliens thought it was completely safe. They were wrong. Hajun Li sat in the control room of his ghost ship, watching the station through special cameras. His ship was so close he could see the aliens working inside through the windows. They couldn't see him at all. All ships in position, he said quietly into his communications device. Ready to begin. Admiral Park's voice came back clear and calm. You may proceed. Hajun pressed his hand against a black panel. The quantum field around his ship began to change. In space, nothing seemed to happen, but inside the station, everything started to go wrong. First, the main power core went dark. Then the backup systems failed. Then the emergency power shut down. The aliens inside the station started running around in panic. Their machines were stopping, but they couldn't understand why. First target complete, Hajun reported, moving to second target. Across the galaxy, more ghost ships were doing the same thing. They appeared next to alien control stations, power plants, and communication centers. One by one, the most important parts of the aliens' power system went dark. In the Galactic Council chamber, the lights flickered and went out. The alien representatives looked around in confusion. Their emergency systems didn't work. Their computers didn't respond. Nothing worked. Back on his ship, Hajun watched the aliens try to fix their machines. They couldn't. The quantum fields from the ghost ships had changed how their technology worked. Everything they thought they knew about science was useless now. No casualties reported, said Myre's voice over the communication system. She was leading another group of ships near the alien homeworlds. All targets disabled without violence. That was important. Humans weren't trying to hurt anyone. They just wanted to show the aliens that they weren't in control anymore. In the council chamber, The aliens were getting angry. Some of them thought they were under attack. Others thought it was a technical problem. None of them guessed that humans were responsible. Phase 1 complete. Hajum announced. All primary targets are disabled. Admiral Park's voice came back. Excellent. Hold position and wait for Dr. Yoonhee's signal. Hajun looked out at the darkened station again. The aliens inside were using emergency breathing systems now. They were safe, but they were scared. They had never felt powerless before. They're sending distress signals. Myray reported from her position. But the quantum fields are blocking all their communications. They can't call for help. In the council chamber, the alien leaders were shouting at each other. Their perfect system was falling apart, and they didn't know why. They had never imagined that humans could do something like this. Hajun smiled as he watched through his cameras. The aliens had spent centuries telling humans they weren't ready for advanced technology. Now humans were showing them what real advanced technology looked like. It's time for Phase 2. Admiral Park's voice announced to all ships. Dr. Yoonhee is ready to show them exactly what humanity can do. The ghost ships waited silently in space, their quantum fields humming with power that the aliens had never dreamed possible. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity had grown far beyond what anyone thought they could be. Dr. Yoonhee Kim walked into the darkened Galactic Council chamber. Emergency lights cast a dim glow over the angry and frightened alien representatives. They fell silent when they saw her. A human had never entered the chamber without permission before. Honorable members of the council, she said clearly, Earth would like to demonstrate something for you. The council leader stood up, his silver skin reflecting the emergency lights. How dare you enter this chamber? Guards, remove this human. The guards didn't move. They couldn't. The quantum fields around the chamber had frozen them in place. For centuries, Yoonhee continued, you told us what was possible and what wasn't. You gave us fake science books. You told us we weren't ready for real knowledge. She held up her hand, and a ball of light appeared above it. We decided to find the truth for ourselves. The alien representatives stared at the light. They had never seen anything like it. It broke all the rules they thought controlled the universe. Su Min Yang stepped forward from the shadows. She wasn't wearing her usual diplomatic smile anymore. While you watched our cities and our spaceports, we built something new, something you thought was impossible. Yoonhee moved her hands, and the ball of light expanded. Inside it, matter changed from one form to another. Metal became water, then gas, then light, then metal again. The aliens watched in silence. This is real science, Yoonhee explained, not the simple rules you gave us. Humans looked at the universe differently. We found new paths that you never imagined. The council leader's voice shook as he spoke. This is impossible. Your species isn't advanced enough for this technology. You were wrong, Su Min said simply. You were wrong about many things. Yoonhee touched another control, and a large screen appeared in the air. It showed the ghost ships positioned around every important alien installation in the galaxy. The aliens gasped as they realized how complete humanity's control was. We don't want to fight, Yoonhee said. We never did. We want to be equals. We want to share knowledge, not hide it. We want to help build a better galaxy, not control it like you did. Ambassador Su Min stepped forward again. Earth has two requests. First, recognize us as equals. Second, help us create a new galactic council where all species share knowledge freely. The council chamber erupted in noise. Some aliens shouted in anger. Others whispered in fear. A few nodded in understanding. If you refuse, Yoonhee said quietly, we will simply leave. Take our ships, our technology, and our world somewhere else in the universe. But everything you built, everything you use to control other worlds, will stay turned off. The council leader looked around the dark chamber. He looked at the screen showing human ships everywhere. He looked at the ball of light that broke every rule he thought he knew. How? He asked finally. How did you do all this without us knowing? Yoon-hee smiled. You thought you knew everything about science. You thought you knew everything about humans. You were wrong about both. The question now is, what will you do with that knowledge? The fate of the galaxy hung in the silence that followed. The days after Dr. Yoon-hee's demonstration changed everything in the galaxy. The collective, which had ruled for thousands of years, started to break apart. Some alien species wanted to fight humans. Others wanted to learn from them. No one could agree on what to do. General Ta Wen-choi watched from his command center as alien ships gathered near their homeworlds. The ghost ships stayed in position, their quantum fields ready, but no one attacked. No one dared. The Andorians want to talk, Su-min reported from the council station. They've always disagreed with how the collective treated other species. They're offering to help create the new council. More species joined the Andorians. The collective's power was built on the idea that they had the most advanced technology. Now everyone knew that wasn't true. In orbit around Earth, Admiral Park met with alien leaders who wanted peace. They gathered on a human ship, seeing Earth's technology up close for the first time. Many of them were scientists who had always suspected the collective was hiding things. Your quantum fields, one alien scientist said, looking at the engines. They're beautiful. We never imagined such things were possible. Hajun showed them how the engines worked. The universe has many secrets, he said. We should discover them together, not keep them from each other. But not everyone wanted peace. The council leader and his supporters gathered their warships. They thought they could threaten Earth into giving up its technology. Your weapons won't work, Mayray told them over the communication system. Our quantum fields can shut them down instantly. Please don't waste lives trying to prove you're still in control. You're not. The council leader didn't listen. He ordered his ships to attack. But when they tried to fire their weapons, nothing happened. The quantum fields had turned their powerful guns into useless metal. Now do you understand? General Taiwan asked them. We could have destroyed your ships. We could have taken revenge for centuries of control. Instead, we just want to talk. More alien species left the collective after that. They saw that humans had more power but used it wisely. They wanted to be part of humanity's new way of doing things. Dr. Yoon-hee met with alien scientists every day. She showed them how quantum fields worked. She explained how humans had discovered these secrets. The aliens were amazed by how differently humans thought about science. Your species surprised us, an alien scientist admitted. We thought we knew everything. We thought we had to control everyone to keep order. We were wrong. The old council chamber was full again, but everything was different now. Humans sat among the aliens as equals. Ships from many species worked together to rebuild the galaxy's communication network. But this time, everyone would have access to the same technology. The galaxy is changing, Su-min told Admiral Park as they watched ships from 20 different species dock at Earth's new space station. Not because we forced them to change, but because we showed them a better way. The quantum fields hummed quietly, keeping peace in a galaxy that was learning how to be truly united for the first time. Sarah walked through the dark forest. She felt scared but tried to be brave. The trees were tall and blocked the moonlight. She heard strange noises coming from the shadows. An owl hooted in the distance. Sarah pulled her coat tighter around herself. The night air was cold. Her breath made white clouds in front of her face. She walked faster, wanting to get through the forest quickly. Suddenly, Sarah heard a loud crack behind her. She spun around and peered into the darkness. She couldn't see anything at first. Then she noticed two glowing eyes staring at her from the bushes. Her heart started racing. The creature slowly stepped out from the undergrowth. Sarah gasped. Standing before her was an enormous wolf. It was as big as a small horse. Its fur was pitch black, and its eyes glowed bright yellow. Sharp white teeth glinted in its open jaws. A low growl rumbled from its throat. Sarah froze in terror, not daring to move. The wolf sniffed the air and stared at her intently. Sarah knew she should run, but her legs wouldn't cooperate. She was paralyzed with fear as the giant beast took a step towards her. Just then, a loud shout rang out from down the path. "Hey, get away from her!" a man's voice yelled. The wolf's ears perked up. It glanced towards the sound before looking back at Sarah. With a final huff, the creature turned and bounded off into the forest. Sarah let out the breath she had been holding. Her knees felt weak with relief. She turned to see who had scared the wolf away. A tall man holding a large walking stick was hurrying towards her. "Are you all right, miss?" he asked with concern. "That was a close one." "Ah, yes, I'm okay," Sarah said shakily. "Thank you so much. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't come along." The man smiled kindly. "You're welcome. But what are you doing out here all alone? These woods aren't safe at night." "I'm trying to get to my grandmother's cottage," Sarah explained. "I got lost and took a wrong turn in the dark. Can you help me?" "Of course," the man replied. "I know these woods well. Come, I'll show you the way." Feeling immensely relieved, Sarah fell into step beside the stranger as he led her down the path. Thankful to no longer be alone on such a frightening night, little did she know her harrowing adventure was only just beginning. Sarah and the kind stranger walked together through the dark, foreboding forest. The man introduced himself as Jack, a woodcutter who lived in a small cabin nearby. As they continued down the path, Jack asked Sarah more about where she was headed. Sarah explained that she was on her way to visit her elderly grandmother, who lived alone in a cottage deep in the woods. Sarah's mother had sent her to check on the old woman and bring her some food and supplies. However, Sarah had never made the journey by herself before, and she had lost her way in the darkness. Jack listened intently to Sarah's story. A look of concern crossed his face as she described her grandmother's isolated cottage. "You must be very careful," Jack warned. "There have been rumors lately of a vicious wolf prowling these woods. They say it's larger and more aggressive than any wolf seen before. Some even believe it may be a werewolf." Sarah's eyes widened with fear at the mention of a werewolf. She had heard tales of these supernatural creatures, but never believed they could be real. The close encounter with the giant wolf earlier in the night now took on an even more sinister meaning. Jack attempted to reassure her, stating that he had never personally seen any evidence of werewolves in the forest. Still, he cautioned Sarah to be on her guard and move quickly to reach her grandmother's house. He offered to escort her as far as the path to the cottage, as he needed to return home to his own family. As they approached the turnoff to her grandmother's house, Jack gave Sarah careful directions to follow the trail and knocked on the front door as soon as she arrived. He handed her a small silver dagger, urging her to keep it with her for protection. With a final word of warning to be safe, Jack turned and hurried back into the darkened woods. Sarah watched him go, clutching the dagger and feeling a mix of gratitude and apprehension. She took a deep breath and began down the final stretch of path to her grandmother's cottage, praying silently that the old woman was safe and sound. Little did Sarah know, the true danger was much closer than she ever could have imagined. As she approached the cottage door, she was unaware that a pair of glowing eyes watched her from the shadows of the trees, waiting for the perfect moment to strike.